The 18 Strong Podcast, episode number 127, with golf fitness professional Jordan Jeske.
They've come to me because I specialize in golf. But when we actually get to the nitty gritty of things and get into some of the training and as I get to know them, it's about a lifestyle. What I always tell my golfers and my clients is it's gotta be, golf has brought you here, but it's gotta be about more than golf to keep you here.
Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast, where you get direct access to the world's greatest experts on training harder, practicing smarter, and playing better golf. Now, here's your host, Jeff Pellizzero.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast. This week, I get to catch up with my buddy Jordan Jeske from up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. He's one of the top golf fitness professionals up in that area, and it's always just a pleasure to get to hang out and chat with him. I got to see him multiple times at the World Golf Fitness Summits over the past couple of years and have connected and just loving what Jordan's doing in the world of golf and working with his clients on not just the specifics of golf and fitness, but also just kind of the lifestyle around everything that involves the training, nutrition, the purpose of what they're doing in the gym and why they're doing it. So we're going to catch up with Jordan, and he's going to kind of give us some tips and tricks on not just, what he does in the gym with his clients, but also working on some of the power, the strength, the background that he has from some of his sports, playing football and basketball back in the day, and how he has now kind of changed his training and is helping not only his clients, but Jordan is an avid golfer himself, hits the ball a mile. And so I want to get some tips and tricks from him on, what are some of the things that he does in the gym himself and when he's working with his guys and gals, working on their strength, their speed, their power, their fitness level also. It's always a lot of fun hanging out with Jordan. He's just one of those guys that has such a great personality, brings a lot of humor and entertainment into his videos and his content. So keep an eye on his website and Instagram, Golf Life Performance, which is going to be coming out pretty soon. Because I guarantee he's going to be one of those guys that a lot of people are watching. We've had plenty of good times in person and on the show here, so looking forward to introducing you to Jordan Jeske. But before we get to the interview, I just want to take a quick minute here to mention our featured sponsor of the show, which again is Rad Roller, the home of the world's most advanced massage and release tools. So if you're looking for the most innovative self-myofascial tools that you can find, then look no further. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you're most likely familiar with the concept of using a foam roller or some other kind of tool like a lacrosse ball or whatever it might be to work on some of the tight areas of your body, like the knots between your shoulder blades or some of the other restricted areas like the hips, the shoulders, whatever it might be. Well, if you haven't tried the Rad Roller products, then you are missing out. They've got a whole line of different products, all different shapes, different sizes, textures that are designed specifically to work on these different areas of the body. Now, I know I've mentioned them before, but I really love what they call the Rad Rounds, which are simply small little balls, different textures that can be used on areas that might be hard to get to with your traditional foam roller or even a lacrosse ball. Areas like the feet and the hands. And I'm telling you, if you haven't tried rolling your feet or your hands, you're in for a shocker. You might be amazed at how much you need this, really, and how good and alive your hands and feet will feel after you give them just a little bit of TLC. Now, it's not the most comfortable experience always, especially right out of the gates, but you'll absolutely notice a difference afterwards. So go check out all the different products that they have over at radroller.com, like the Rad Rounds, the Helix, the new Atom Ball that they have, which is awesome, and everything else they have. And be sure to use your code 18STRONG to get your discount. I know that I love these things. Our guest today, Jordan, is a big fan, as well as so many of the other fitness professionals in the industry that I've had the chance to come into contact with. So don't miss out. Go over to radroller.com and use the code 18STRONG. All right, without further ado, let's get to our special guest, Jordan Jeske. Jordan Jeske, welcome to the 18 Strong Podcast.
Jeff, how's it going, buddy? Thanks for having me, man.
It's great. It's great. I think the last time we saw each other actually face to face, we were having a couple cocktails at the fried chicken joint in New Orleans. So this will be a little more conducive to actually talking on the air as opposed to the conversations we had there.
Yeah, there was a pint or two there, but we got some training talk in there too. But
that was a good time. I'm sure a couple of those stories might come out in this 45 minutes or so.
It was a blast.
All right, brother. Let's, if you could, give the audience a little bit of background on you. You and I have met through TPI and some of the different events, and all of our Canadian friends, or all of my Canadian friends. You are a Canadian, one of my Canadian friends. So give us a little story on you. What kind of got you into the golf world, and maybe your background in sports a little bit, and what brought you to where you are.
Yeah, I'll start off kind of way back, I guess. I grew up playing sports, started playing football when I was in grade 2 or 3. Got into playing basketball and football were like my main sports that I really enjoyed playing and were really passionate about. So I played those through, junior high, middle school, going into high school. And my goal through high school was all about, I wanted to go play college basketball. That's what I excelled in. That's what I was good at. And then my last year, grade 12, I went and played football, and really excelled in that and got some offers, I guess, to some of the other football clubs, like our universities, and then some of our Canadian Junior Football League as well. So I kind of looked at it and I was like, well, I love sports. I want to see how far I could take it. So I decided football. I was like, I don't see myself going to the NBA, but I could see myself taking football to the next level. That first year when I started playing, I actually got injured, tore my labrum in my right shoulder. So that cut my season super short, and kind of rehabbed it a little bit, hung out with the team. They said I had a spot next year. Next year came back about a month and a half in again, boom, same thing. 50% of it never healed. So I kind of had a few decisions to make. I was like, well, I really don't want to play or have a third surgery and have tons of problems later on in the years. So I decided to give up football, which was super tough to do because, my whole life was year round pretty much was playing sports. That's what it was around. So in high school, I also did some construction technology stuff. So I actually decided to, out of high school, since the football team, the Canadian Football League that I was part of, it wasn't associated with a school. So I did carpentry. So after I got injured with football and was doing that anymore, I just was like, okay, well, I don't really know what else to do. So I'm just going to stick with carpentry. So I got my carpentry ticket, my red seal. So I was a journeyman carpenter. And I did that for close to 10 years. Before I kind of got to a point in my life where I wasn't passionate about it anymore and needed something more in my life. And so, I was driving home one day and called my boss, and right on the spot, I was like, hey man, I can't do this anymore. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I quit. So I put in my 2 weeks. I think I only worked like 5 more days, and took like 4 months off, got my certification, through a pretty big one called CanFit Pro. In Canada and North America here. And it's that's 5 years ago now, and kind of haven't looked back. Going through the stages of career wise with carpentry and things like that, there would always be, those minus 30 degrees Celsius days. Yeah. It was pretty hard getting up to go to work, and I wasn't passionate about what I did. And I was always had a strong work ethic, and I was getting to the point where I wasn't wanting to go to work, doing the work I should have. And so knew I needed to make a change. And, so going into kind of cut it cold turkey, got into training. And I was training for about a year and a half at a private studio that a good friend of mine owned. I was really enjoying it, learning lots. And then I was actually at a CanFit Pro conference in Vancouver. And I started getting into golf just out of high school. So I didn't really play when I was younger. Just getting out with the boys, having some beers on a nice day. And that got into just loving the game. So I was at a conference, and I saw Golf Fitness, and it was TPI, and Jason Glass was supposed to be the guy teaching it. I had no idea who he was at the time. And when we got there, I guess Jason couldn't make it. So they had some other guy, not from TPI, but from the Czech Institute that taught it. So that was great. But when we finished, I looked up TPI and figured out what it was all about. And then from there, did my research, and they had a level 1, level 2 back to back in Vancouver a couple months later. So I signed up for level 1. I was like, hey, if I like level 1, stick around for level 2, and the rest is history. So that's been the last 2 years, and it's changed my life, and just it's allowed me to really kind of zone in and create that niche that I wanted to in my training world, and really give me a good purpose with my clients and in golfers, right?
Yeah, it's so cool how, just the connection of the TPI and, not just TPI, but all the golf fitness folks, and how, it seems like it's become a big family. We know so many different people.
Yeah.
We missed you at the PGA show. We went down for a quick little stint. I know you were up in cold
Saw
Canada.
Pictures.
Yeah. So it was a good time being down there, getting to see everybody, and just getting to see how big this thing is becoming on the golf platform. I mean, the size of the health and wellness and TPI stage and everything at the show is really kind of staggering to see how it's starting to creep into a bigger space in that convention center.
Absolutely.
As far as the change in profession, I'm really intrigued by going from carpentry into the fitness side. First of all, what kind of carpentry were you doing? Were you doing like commercial stuff or residential stuff?
I honestly, over the 10 years, I went all over the place. I actually started off with just like renovations, then got into work for a commercial company. I actually lived in Vancouver for a year when the Olympics were there, which was a blast. And so did that. We did a lot of kind of housing jobs, commercial stuff, and some bank renovations and things like that. And then when I came home, as much as I wanted to stay out in Vancouver, it's very expensive. And I'd have to live like 2 hours kind of outside of where I worked, and I couldn't handle that. So I moved back and actually got into like high-end finishing. So we started doing like some really cool, barrel vault ceiling work and things like that. And that was really cool, and learned a lot of stuff. And, I renovated my whole house and basements and things like that. And I'm glad I have those skills, but I knew I needed to make a change. So,
yeah, I was going to ask you, do you still do a little bit of that stuff? It sounds like you've done some work on your own place. And
yeah, like I have my own projects that I do in the summertime and things like that. But I just knew I didn't want to wear a tool belt anymore. And so I'm picky about what I do if I do anything. Well, I've had clients and people like, oh, I heard you have a background in carpentry. Can you do some things? I'm like, that's not what I do anymore. So
yeah. So did you always have some sort of a fascination or liking to, the fitness side of things? I mean, obviously you have the sports background. What made you then decide, okay, I'm done with carpentry, I'm going into fitness?
Yeah, well, before I decided to do personal training, I thought about it for about a year and a half. I kind of looked at my life and what I was passionate about. Sports is what it was. I'd looked at possibly doing coaching. But really looking back at it, I was like, I want to be in the high performance area. If I can't do that personally on an athletic level myself, how can I be involved in that? And personal training was kind of the start of it, getting into strength coaching and, just build your career and your reputation for there. So that's kind of where it kind of came to. And I really didn't know. A good buddy of mine owned a private gym, and he was like, hey man, like I trained with him a little bit as well. And he was an Olympic athlete too, a high jumper. And he told me, he's like, we think you got a great personality for it. He's like, if you want the job, it's yours. So I decided to give it a go, and literally, that feeling that people get when, they go to a job that they aren't really passionate about. They're, Sunday nights, they really don't want to get up in the morning. I can honestly say I've never had that feeling in the last 5 years. Ever since I became a personal trainer, it's something and that's kind of how I know. I'm like, there's days obviously I'm like, I could sleep in a little bit. Right. But, I don't regret going to work, and I don't regret helping, hopefully, change some people's lives, whether it's on the golf side of things or the general lifestyle side of things.
Man, that's so huge. And you can see it in your videos, when you're having, I love your videos because you have a lot of fun with what you're doing. And, that's kind of what Ryan and I have been talking a lot about with 18 Strong is like, there's so much stale fitness stuff out there. There's so much stale golf stuff out there that, we really want to, in the next, several months, team up with, people like you and the people that are having fun with what's going on in this industry and just, make it about what we love. We love golf. We love fitness. We love going and having a couple of beers here and there, enjoy it all and have a lot of fun with it. So tell us a little bit about before we jump into some of the training stuff, because we're going to get a little technical on some things for the listeners to talk about some power and things like that. But just what's going on with you as far as, the website. Obviously, your Instagram is blowing up with some of your videos and everything. So tell us what's going on website-wise. I know you have some things that are coming up.
Yeah, we got a couple different things I want to do. It's all about, kind of growing and expanding and being able to provide more and expanding your reach. So I work out of a studio called TNP Fitness. It stands for Training, Nutrition, and Purpose. So a good buddy of mine owned that, and I joined forces with him about 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And so we're actually moving to a new facility, hopefully within the month. And we got some pretty exciting things. We got about 1,500 square feet right now, and it's served us well, but we know we need to expand and grow. And so we're moving to about a 5,000 square foot facility. Which is, it's scary, but at the same time, really exciting. And so in that facility, I'll also have a 1,000 square foot golf area.
Nice.
So it's going to be turfed out. We're going to have some chipping, putting, some hitting nets, and a place now where we can really, bring in big groups, right? Have your small group training, do lectures, things like that. We want it to be kind of like a hangout spot. Up in here in Canada, we get 6 months of snow, if not more. So we have some virtual centers and things like that, but I just really wanted to pair everything with what I do on the fitness side, to the technical side, bringing in swing coaches and just having a place for guys, and especially in the wintertime, for them to kind of hang out, chip and putt, and just kind of create this community and this atmosphere in our city and kind of change the game a little bit from what people are, used to or expect. So that's some of the cool stuff on that side of things. And then I have kind of my online brand that I'm trying to create. It's called Golf Life Performance. And so kind of the website is going to be changing quite a bit over the next number of months, providing online services, and just to kind of with what I do in the community here in Edmonton as well. Is what I find is a lot of my golfers that come and see me. I have some competitive guys, some juniors, but I also get a lot of middle-aged golfers. And, when they come and see me, they've come to me because I specialize in golf. But when we actually get to the nitty-gritty of things and get into some of the training and as I get to know them, it's about a lifestyle. They want to be able to, they have some pain maybe, or they have some mobility problems, or they've lost 20 yards in the last couple of years, and they want to get that back because they want to play well into their years and they want to move and feel better. So that's kind of why I came up with the name Golf Life Performance, is that it's performance in golf and performance in life. And what I always tell my golfers and my clients is it's gotta be, golf has brought you here, but it's gotta be about more than golf to keep you here. So that's kind of one of the philosophies I have with a lot of my clients. And so I'm trying to tie that into my online brand and what I do on social media is where, I'm a golfer, I do golf performance, but I also have this life that I want to perform in as well. So there's going to be some changes where, there's going to be a little bit more kind of like day-to-day life of what I do and the community that I'm part of, and kind of showing that kind of both sides of things that I'm super excited about.
Oh, I love that, man. Because I know that you do so many different things, like in the community, like, every now and then I'll see the, 50 people running up and down the steps or something like that. You've got something going on, like you've got your Lululemon stuff where you have a bunch of group fitness type things.
Right.
But I love what you said there about just golf and the lifestyle. And I've experienced that myself here in St. Louis, that, the golfers come to us because of that golf piece, right? But when you really boil it down, I have a lot of people that ask me like, oh, so you're the golf fitness guy. What kind of golf fitness stuff do you do? And I'm like, well, it's really, once somebody comes in, you start working with them, like they just want to be healthier and move better and feel better and sleep better and perform better on a daily basis. And guess what? They play better golf when they're doing that.
Absolutely.
So what have you found when you get a guy like that comes in? What are some of the biggest things that you notice, some of the trends? Because I know I personally see a couple things that a lot of guys deal with that, I think that just by making a few simple changes, they can make a drastic improvement on whether that be their mobility or their fitness level or their diet, whatever. What are some of the trends that you've seen? Yeah,
I think one of my biggest things when someone comes and see me is I want to them that value, in that first kind of session, consult, whatever you want to call it. So some of the trends is, just teaching people to create ownership in their body. One of the big things that I teach with my clients is I always tell everyone, I was like, I want to work with somebody for 3 to 6 months. Obviously, if they want to train with me for the rest of their life, that's fantastic. But at the same time, realistically, it's not feasible. But that 3 to 6 month mark gives us a good time to be able to really teach and educate them, so that, maybe they start with me 3 or 4 times a week. And then that goes down to twice a week and once a week and a couple times a month and once a month and just for tune-ups and things like that. Is so I've taught them and given them the tools. It's kind of like, you can feed somebody fish, but you got to teach them how to fish, right? Mm-hmm. Similar concepts where I want to teach them so that when they, especially like, a lot of my female clients, and giving them that confidence and power, on the course and then also in the gym, that they can go there and it's not just meatheads running around and whatever. It's like, hey, I know what I'm doing. Jordan's kind of taught me that. I know how to change the weights. I know that I can lift heavy. I can do this. So it's cool to see transformations and people take ownership of of their body. And so that's one of the big things that I teach is that ownership, because people come in and they're like, I don't really Like, I've never done that movement before. That doesn't even make sense to me. And then as they start to really connect that mind muscle connection, it's cool to see the differences that they can make.
Yeah, it's fun to see them start to figure it out, especially some of the younger kids, or like you said, some of the people that are just kind of novices when they come in, just have that confidence and to realize, hey, I don't need Jordan counting my reps every single day. I don't need him, putting me in position, starting to do that. And then they can, if they're on the road and they're doing something, they can figure out and be creative with their own workouts. That's
totally
pretty cool.
Yeah. And like a lot of the stuff I do too is I'll have them like, we have mirrors obviously in the gym, but at the same time, I'll be like, is that a good rep? Like, without looking at the mirror, is that a good rep, bad rep? Like, I want you to think about what your body is doing. A lot of my warm-ups include exercises that make them start to, like, stability stuff where they have to focus and really think about where their body's at that day. And yeah, just really making sure that they're kind of on point with that. I'll make them change the weights out, right? When a lot of people think that's the personal trainer's job, I'm like, well, it is. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, change that weight out. All right. Or adjust the functional trainer or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, you got to learn it. Because if you're going to do these workouts on your own, which I challenge all my clients to do, they have to be able to know how to do that. Right.
Yeah. Or, hey, what rep are you on? They're like, I thought you were counting.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I saw a post from Dean Somerset, who's big in the fitness industry. And he was saying, he's like, because all my clients all the time, like, I'd always tell them, I'm no math magician, right? I'm looking at form, I'm looking at all this other stuff. But it's like, I don't know what rep you're on, but do two more. It's like my, right?
Exactly. It's always two more.
Yeah. It's always like two more.
All right. So I know that there's a lot of guys listening and girls listening that, they know golf and fitness are coming together, right? There's this whole thing about golfers and fitness, and they know that they need to be getting in and working out to improve their golf game. And a lot of them, guys like you and I that played sports back in the day, if I wasn't in the fitness realm, I would probably categorize myself into this kind of a group where, I'm a guy that wants to get fit again. I want to get fit for golf. And all I really know is what I did for my soccer workouts, or like a guy like you for what I did in high school for basketball and football.
Totally.
And a lot of these guys, you'll see them going to the gym, they're just lifting the same way that they did, 10, 20, 50, 15 years ago.
Right.
What are some of the differences in the way that you used to train when you were training for football or basketball? And now how you would train yourself personally for golf, or how you would have some of these guys that are kind of coming back into the gym to get back into shape? What are some of the differences you see between those? Well,
especially like when I was in high school and playing at that level and just out of high school, there wasn't much of it. Like there wasn't much direction as far as like strength coaches, like on the level, like, if you get to like the high university levels, you have your strength coaches and things like that. But like even in high school, it was just like the coach was your strength coach, which he was a teacher who knew basketball or football.
Maybe.
But yeah. But didn't know really, he knew what he knew from what he grew up in, right? So a lot of times, it was bench, curls, shoulder press, right? Things like that. And there was no real direction. And so and then, you do some cardio, do some sprints, get your 20 minutes of steady state in whatever it was. And then we got your conditioning on the field or on the court. But yeah, it was really no direction. So, I feel like the potential, even what I could have had or kids could have had, would have been that much more if there was some direction on, hey, this is where you need to be. This is a program we're going to put you guys on. And it's going to be tailored to you to a degree. And what the difference is now, what's cool, a couple of years ago, what a lot of high schools in my area are doing is they have their own strength coaches. So the school will either hire them, like with the school board, or they'll be contracted personal trainers. So I was actually at a high school a couple years ago, and I ran the fitness facility there 3 days a week. So students, regular students or just athletes, whatever, would come in, they'd work out, but I'd be there being like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Let's do this. Let's try this. How about doing this? So they actually had some really direction. And if they wanted to come to me for a program, then they came to me for a program. So that's cool to see that transition and what high schools are doing. They recognize that these kids, first off, just the generations need to be outside more and get active in different things. But again, teaching them how to do it. Because we see a lot, I had a lot of kids in high school who were like, oh, like what do you use for supplements and cycles and things like that? I was like, I don't. I was like, I work hard. I make sure I get my whole foods in. And if I need to supplement something after that, maybe I do. But it's like at your age, just eat lots and train smart, all that sort of stuff. So So that's been a big difference. And then, when people come into the gym, again, it's like they know what they grew up or what they read or what they've looked up on YouTube. And so it's just really making sure that, so now starting with anyone that comes in for me, like kind of like that TPI way is really basing it down. Like once you actually know what your body is capable of, getting your desired results become that much easier. So, really telling them like, hey, this is where we're at. If you can't get to a good overhead extension flexion position, we're not going to do any sort of overhead stuff until we can get to that point. So I'll give them correctives and different activation drills to try and figure out their body to see if they can immediately get it or if there's some work that we need to do. So again, it's not building strength on dysfunction. It's really making sure that they take some of that ownership. So I usually give them that corrective stuff to do at home as much as they can, consistent. And then each time they come into the gym, it's like, oh, you improved. So it's cool to see that change. And then we start to adding that strength and power stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a big trend that I've seen is, really working on getting away from just going in the gym and trying to load up as much as you can. Because,
right.
Back in the day when I was playing soccer in school, and I mean, I can barely remember doing a leg workout.
Right.
We ran. So that was our legs. So
totally.
We went to the gym and I mean, I played, I went to an NAIA school and played some soccer there. And cool. We didn't really have we didn't have workout sessions aside from practice. So the guys that were going into the weight room, we were going in the weight room so we would look better in the summertime. It was the beach muscles. Yeah. So it was chest, shoulders, back, thighs, that kind of stuff. And rarely did we squat or lunge or any of that stuff. So
right.
I think it's cool to see all of these golfers now kind of getting these assessments and getting into learning more about how their body actually works and how they can actually function and getting stronger in these deficit areas. And like you said, get the correctives going to really improve those things before moving on to what most people envision as the big exercise, the big workouts, but you got to fix some of the other stuff first.
Yeah. And that's the thing that's tough for a lot of people that come in. Like they come and see me because I'm a personal trainer, so I got to make them sweat. And I just threw an article out a couple weeks ago on it. Like, is harder or better, right? Am I making the workout harder or is it better for them? And that out, I was like, anyone can throw together a hard workout and make somebody sweat. It's not that hard to do, but making sure it has some sort of purpose and being like, hey, we need to fix this first before we can get to that fun stuff, quote unquote, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about the fun stuff because you're kind of known as the power guy. A lot of your videos revolve around throwing medicine balls and rotational power, and you talk a lot about building that stability first, and like we just talked about, fixing a lot of the pieces first. But what are some of the things that you do, and maybe even you personally, because I know that you're a long ball hitter, that you like to do in the gym in order to really improve that power, improve that speed, and as far as like just some structure and scheduling, how do you work that into the season, off season, those kinds of things?
Yeah, I think like when it comes to me personally, I was thinking about the other day, I was like, I've gained a lot of that from just playing sports growing up. Some of that joint integrity stuff, some of that, being able to kind of load and explode quickly and fire kind of off whenever. So when somebody comes in and we do these kind of these agility drills or just different movement patterns, I'm really looking to see how their body reacts to those kind of external forces and where it starts to break down. So again, we can, like I could have somebody throwing a med ball around as much as we can, but is it efficient, right? Are they going to be generating the most, or is it eventually going to lead to some injuries or whatever? So again, kind of going back to that kind of joint integrity stuff, a lot of the stuff that Jason Glass is doing, him and I have been chatting and just the different stuff. I was out there in the summertime for his mentorship, and a lot of that stuff I found really beneficial for my golfers. That getting that ownership of your joints and being able to, simple things as far as like doing a step up, somebody stepping up, and as they come back down, or really look at the structure of, okay, does their heel kind of come all the way down to the ground before they can kind of reload back up? Are they breaking in their knee or their hip? Versus being able to just pop right back up and create that explosion. So once we start to see that stuff, it comes down to kind of that joint integrity. And then when we come back to an exercise, I'm like, oh, that's better. Does that feel stronger? Yeah, it feels way better. So that's a lot of stuff that I've been doing. Playing football, I was a running back. So it was about benching as much as you can, Like you said, we didn't do much. We did some legs, but it wasn't as much as we should have. It was all in the field. So over the years, my body, I've noticed, even with my 2 shoulder surgeries, it comes down to movement. It comes down to how's my body moving, and how can I take that into making sure that that's efficient, and making sure that it can generate the power. And again, coming from that ground up, those ground reaction forces and the hips. I was actually last night. I actually went to a boxing gym, and it was pretty cool actually. I because I'm a right-handed golfer, I'm really kind of firing that kind of right hip around to generate that force. And so we were doing some left-handed kicks, and it was like I was completely uncoordinated. I was like, man, I don't generate power off that side.
Right.
And I was actually really intrigued by it, and talking to the coach there, that I was like, hey man, I'm going to get in there again with you, and I really want to start to work on some of this efficiency, because he was like, his hips, generating that, we got to have good rotation of our body, but when we come back down, it's got to generate from that lower body and snap around, and the rest of the body will follow. So that's a lot of the stuff that we'll focus on with golfers and stuff too. And, in-season golfers, it's tough. Like, with some of my competitive guys, we'll throw that, kind of in when we can, when we get them in. A lot of them want to do it all the time, but I got to tell them, specific times, or when they got some good breaks, we'll throw it in when we can, and work on that opposite side and things like that. And then, in off season, I'll really get them going through that again, reassessing, go through that strength phase, go through a week of power stuff, or getting that power done at the beginning of a workout, move to strength, move to some of your accessory stuff, and then finish with some conditioning or something. It's kind of how I'll start to structure it when somebody's really ready for that.
Cool. That's you just had so many little great nuggets of wisdom in there, as far as just the power stuff at the beginning of a workout. Just because you're fresh, I think
right.
A lot of people want to come in, they just want to throw medicine balls around, or they just want to do quick speed activities, those kinds of things. But
right.
Just had a conversation yesterday with a guy that wanted to do the super speed golf clubs at the end of the workout. And
right.
I said, well, you could swing them, and I was okay with that, as far as, because it's going to give you your left hand, right hand stuff. I'm like, but if you're expecting that to help with your speed, it can't. You're gassed out already from your workout. You're going to move slower than you normally would. So that's a key factor. And also mentioning the power stuff when your competitive guys come in, I think you had a good point there too, that they don't need to be doing a whole lot of that, especially on their dominant side, because they get that a lot during the rounds. They don't need to be swinging right-handed any more than they already are if they're right-handed golfer.
Totally.
So some really good stuff there. Just kind of a random golf question. We've got this new Facebook group that we've been chatting around with some of the great fitness professionals in the industry and some of the listeners. And somebody mentioned the fact that I think it was Rory was on the No Laying Up podcast, which, if you guys haven't listened to that podcast, that's who I aspire to be when I grow up, is those guys. They've had some great guests on, like Rory and Justin Thomas.
Cool.
But, they were talking about like just the longevity of golfers these days. And, guys are it seems like guys are getting hurt and they blame it on fitness and whatnot. But I think what's your take on just as far as like the injuries and the schedule? And I'm not asking you if fitness is the issue, because I know that you know it's not, as I do. But Rory was talking about how he thinks that maybe the longevity of the golfer is diminishing just because of the nature of the game these days. And he's like, I could be okay with that. Maybe you're not going to be playing into your 40s and 45 and 50 the way that you do now. What do you see as far as all these guys that are swinging so hard, pounding the ball, and becoming more athletic? But he was saying, it kind of maybe the time frame is shrinking, like football and some of those other sports. Not exactly like that, but something like that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I was actually watching the Golf Channel the other day, and at the bottom screen, it's like average driving distance, and it was like, I don't know how many people had scrolled through, but they're all over 300. It was like 320, 317, 314. I was like, everyone's like, that's average now. And I think even Web.com Tour is even more than that. I think it's higher than the PGA Tour average, and these young guys are going to be coming in. So, and I think it's something that, as coming down to like swing mechanics with a swing coach, it's once somebody has that power, do you make sure they create a swing that is efficient and not taxing on the spine or different things that it can create more longevity? But I guess that's, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out in the next number of years, where now that these guys are swinging in averaging 320, that's going to be more taxing their body down the line. I know for me, like I'm averaging around that. If I'm like swings on, I'm averaging around 315, 320. And if I'm not consistently in the gym taking care of myself, I'm tired after a round. My back is a little tight. It's sore, right? Days where I feel really good after a round, then days where I'm like, man, I need a couple of days off here. That was intense. So making sure that proper recovery is definitely happening. And yeah, who knows? I'm not sure how that will all pan out now that all this fitness stuff is taking play. And I don't want to say that it's not a fitness side of things. It's just these guys are athletes and they're smoking the ball out there. So it's going to be, some new things on making sure that these guys are staying safe and their body's staying resilient to all those stressors.
Yeah. I mean, I think somebody in the group mentioned that, it's not necessarily the fact that these guys aren't doing the right thing in their swing, but some of these guys are just, I mean, you look at Justin Thomas swinging the ball and the guy's putting every ounce of effort into it that he can. So, maybe we're not going to see a guy who dominates for 10 years like Tiger did ever again, but a guy like a Jason Day can go on a streak and then, maybe his body can't handle it for a little while, or who knows. And maybe it's the guys that have just the silky, buttery swing and short game that just, the Kuchers or, guys like Zach Johnson who don't, necessarily go out and kill a ball, but they just kind of putter along and continue, top tens and wins and things like that. And those are the guys that play longer. Who knows?
Well, and that's the thing too, right? It's like, I can ease off on my swing a little bit and probably maybe feel a little bit more relaxed, but I don't know, I like swinging at a ball and see fly, right? So that's me. And I think when a lot of these kids as athletes coming in, and if we're seeing a lot of more multi-sport athletes going to golf, they just have that kind of competitive drive with themselves to be like, hey, I want to smoke this thing. And, if their short game and everything else is on par, they're shooting good scores and low scores, right? So
yeah. Absolutely. All right. I got a couple questions at the end here for us to get to know Jordan Jeske a little bit better.
I like it.
First of all, just as far as your golf, how long or how much do you get to play these days?
Not as much last year, but I can't complain. I'm out probably anywhere between 40 to 50 rounds a year. In the summertime, I really like to kind of just really schedule it around. So I have a certain schedule. Usually have Tuesday, Thursday mornings off. So I'll, if I can and I don't have no other things I got to get done, then I'll go for an early round. Get out at 6:30 a.m., have a great start to the day, finish it in 3 hours or under, and then I'm on with the rest of my day. So, if I can get out once a week, I'm super happy. If I can get out more, that's fantastic. So,
dude, 40 to 50 rounds a year. That's like being on a tour to me. Jeez. All right. Based on your game, or not based on your game, but based on the games of the guys that we see on the weekends, if you could pick a guy whose game you could have off the tee, another guy you could have his mid-iron game, and another guy you could have his short game to build kind of your perfect golfer for you, who would you take in those three areas?
Oh, man. I'm trying to think. Probably, you know what? Sergio Garcia, there was a video that came out the other day and it was just like him swing driver after driver. And I was like, at first I didn't think it was Sergio Garcia. And then I was like, man, it's a good looking swing. He's playing pretty decent right now. And, but guys like, Sergio or, Jason Day, I really like his swing. He looks really good. Mid-iron stuff. I got to think about, sometimes I don't pay attention to that too much. And who's closest to what their averages are and stuff like that. That's a tough one for me. Freddie Couples is always a guy that, when you see him swing, it's so smooth.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency as far as like my swing, because I like to speed off, off the tee, that I have a hard time controlling that kind of mid-iron and around the green. So I'd probably stick with that as far as like kind of mid-iron and coming in, just a silky smooth swing coming in and kind of landing it and be able to control that kind of power, right? That's something I have a hard time sometimes do. I just got to slow it down, man.
And then short game, wedges and putter.
Wedges and putter. Who's dialed in? For me, wedges and putter. That's a tough one. I'm trying to think of who out there. I haven't watched golf in the last little bit, so I'm struggling to figure out a guy. Who's been dialed in right now, Jeff?
Dude, you can never go wrong with Spieth. But we had Scott Stallings on the other day, and he was talking about Steve Stricker and just how good that guy is. So
yeah.
Maybe throw him in there.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the end, it's one of those things that's being able to have some control is always something I need in my game. So absolutely.
All right, kind of a random question here. So you and I, we're both kind of titled as golf fitness guys, which I think both of us don't really care too much for the term golf fitness together, just because it gets a little too golfy at times. What's an exercise that you either have seen someone do in the gym or maybe in mass media or something that you hate is attributed to quote unquote golf fitness?
Well, one of the things when I first started getting into golf stuff and telling people that I specialize in golf, they're like, "Oh, golf fitness? Yeah, I do some golf fitness," and it's all about that it has to look like the golf swing.
Yeah.
Right. So they immediately go to as if they're on like a cable machine and doing some chops. Like, "Oh yeah, I love that stuff. Like that's so good." I'm like, "Yes, it's exactly what it is." So that was something that always amused me when somebody kind of came in and we were talking about that, or I met them at a networking meeting or whatever it was. I was like, there's a little more to it than just doing some chops on a cable machine. And and even with golfers, they come in and they want to do like, "Oh, I really like that one. That one, it felt like the golf swing." I'm like, so sometimes I throw there just, for amusement for them in the do a set or two and move on and get into stuff that we actually need to get in. So that's always fun to me.
All right. Can you describe what a buddy carry is?
A buddy carry. It's a bro power move right there is what it is. When someone's in need. No, a buddy carry. Those are good. I've been wanting to tempt because I really like actually Brian Bradley when he did that with us at the summit. When we finished off our workout, we jumped off for some breakfast. I actually really like the concept of it. And so I've been trying to think of ways to incorporate that in the gym with my clients. I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to want to jump on their back.
Describe it for the audience.
So what a buddy carry is. So we'll put it like this. So we finished a workout. We were in New Orleans and Jeff needed some breakfast. So I told him to hop on my back. So he jumps on my back. He grabs my shoulders. He leans all the way back himself. So almost like trying to pull me backwards. And I got to lean forward and offset that work and bringing my shoulders back into some extension. And then I start going for creating some long strides, creating some stability. So, we walked out right into the cafeteria and grabbed some breakfast. It was great.
It's almost like watching a jockey ride an ostrich is kind of the way I would describe it. But it really is. It's a great exercise for, if you're willing to be that, that goofy guy in the gym, and those two goofy guys in the gym. But as far as just posture and stuff, and people that have listened to the show for a while know Brian Bradley, know that he's got some exercises that aren't necessarily the standards in the strength training books,
which I love.
But it was great. But we definitely got a few funny looks there.
Yeah.
All right, we got some of the typical questions here. Cool. I know you know what's coming. Caddyshack or Happy Gilmore?
I gotta say Happy Gilmore, man. I've never been Adam Sandler is like hit and miss sometimes for me, but when it comes to that one, it's pretty classic.
I had a feeling you were going that way. All right, if you could walk 18 holes with anyone in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be, why them, and where would you play?
You know what? I thought about this one because I knew it was coming. And, there's some cliche people I could have said, but, one of the guys, as far as present-wise, would be Mark Wahlberg. Huge golfer. I love what he puts out for movies, and he just, any articles or any things I've seen with him, I think the guy's a solid dude, and I think he's played golf in under an hour, so I feel like I'm in decent shape. I challenged him to that, and we crushed that out. I think as far as for me, like Augusta would be somewhere would be unbelievable to play. I don't know if they'd like us running around on the golf course when they're trying to beat our times, but that's probably where we play.
Yeah, Augusta National is probably the one course that would kick Mark Wahlberg off.
Yeah, probably.
They pretty much could kick anybody off. I love that choice. Mark Wahlberg is actually a guy, for whatever reason, I know that, well, I'm a huge Entourage fan too. He started the show Entourage. He's a big golf nut. So for whatever reason, when I wrote out my list of people that I wanted to have on the 18 Strong podcast a long, long time ago, he was one of the top people on my list. It wasn't awesome. Like my first choice wasn't like Rory. It was like, I want Marky Mark.
Yeah, totally.
Bring the funky bunch too.
Absolutely.
All right, man. As far as everything that you have going on, I know that you've got so many projects going on. You're always constantly learning and putting out content on your social platforms. What's the mission of Jordan Jeske as we move forward in 2017 and beyond?
Totally. My mission is really, Edmonton's a cool city. We have, in the fitness industry, it's a very strong community, whether you're in different sides of the fitness industry, yoga and spin, whatever it is. We just have a very strong community of people supporting each other. So the community is very strong here. So in Edmonton and hopefully it expands around, but it's to bring the community together through golf, really growing the game. I have some cool things lined up for this year that hopefully come to fruition that will kind of creating golf events, not on the golf course, for people that whether they golf or not, they're going to want to be at these events and attend them. Whether it's they're just having a couple of drinks and watching people do whatever we're going to do at the events. But it's bringing the community together through golf and rally and support cool initiatives like that around the city and just change the game of golf and expand it outside of the course for people.
You know what? That just brought me back to the conversations we were having at the tavern about beers and bombs. It's something about long drives from the rooftops of buildings and mini golf throughout the city. So I'm excited to see what you have coming up, and that may require a flight to Edmonton for 18 Strong. You let me know what's going on there.
We will definitely keep you guys posted for sure.
All right, buddy. Any last pieces of advice for the audience, and then let them know where they can find you best?
Yeah. As far as last piece of, advice for, come training wise is being self-aware, having some self-awareness and understanding of what your body needs and create some ownership of what you do. Going to a trainer is great, or going to the gym is great, and being healthy. Again, it's all dependent on what your goals are, but really think about, movements that you're doing and create some awareness and ownership of what you want in your fitness side of things and how that can translate and affect the rest of your life. So it's a big thing that I teach to a lot of my clients. And then as far as finding me on the kind of social media platforms, I'm kind of in the middle of kind of rebranding some things, but on Instagram, it's Jeske_golf performance, Jeske. And then Facebook, I have a Facebook page called Jordan Jeske Golf Performance. And then right now, my personal page is just jordanjeske.com. So you can find me there and connect with me there and ask me any questions you guys have.
And when can we expect Golf Life Performance to be coming out and live?
Pretty quick. We're working on some logo designs and coming up with some branding material. And I'm hoping within the month, we kind of made a few changes to the website and what it provides and what it offers.
Awesome. Well, you let me know when that happens. We'll definitely be pushing that out.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right, my man. Thanks again for taking the time to come on the show. It's been great getting to know you and calling you a friend and getting to learn from you and watch you grow. I love seeing your Instagram and everything and social media blowing up. So we look forward to many, many things to come for Golf Life Performance in the future.
Thank you very much for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it, man.
You got it, bud. Hey, thanks for joining us on the 18 Strong podcast this week. And if you want any more information on Jordan and what's going on with him and his new website, Golf Life Performance, just go to 18strong.com and look up the show notes under Jordan Jeske, episode number 127. You'll find all of the information there. You can also find a few images. I'm going to put up some images of us from the World Golf Fitness Summit when we were hanging out, having some of our crazy antics and doing the buddy carries and everything that we talked about in the show. So that'll be there as well if you want to go check that out. And then be sure to join us in our new private Facebook group, which is called the 18 Strong Movement, and where you can connect with Jordan and a lot of the other past guests and a lot of listeners of the show, other golfers. It's just a great community, a place to hang out, and it's growing very rapidly week to week. So just look up the Facebook group, the 18 Strong Movement, ask for approval to join, and once we approve you, come on in, introduce yourself, and start firing away with some questions or comments or whatever you got. We'd love to connect. All right, we will catch up with you next week on another episode of the 18 Strong podcast. Thanks again for being here. Train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.
Thanks for listening to the 18 Strong podcast at www.18strong.com. And remember, train hard, practice smart, and play better golf.